I was standing in line at Home Depot, holding a gallon of Dextain, when my marriage ended. Not dramatically, no screaming, no confrontation, just a buzz in my pocket and a text from a number I didn't recognize. Thought you should know what your wife does during her book club meetings. Below it, a photo timestamp stamped from 2 hours ago. My wife Melissa, unmistakably, in our guest bedroom. The man with her wasn't me. My hands went numb. The paint can hit the floor with a hollow thud that echoed through the aisle. An employee asked if I was okay. I couldn't answer. I was too busy zooming in on details that confirmed this wasn't some AI-generated fake. The cream-colored duvet we'd bought last Christmas, the chip in our bedroom wall from when I'd bumped it moving furniture, Melissa's distinctive butterfly tattoo on her shoulder blade. I left the store without the stain, without paying, without remembering how I got to my truck. Sitting in the parking lot, I stared at my phone. We'd been married 11 years. Together for 13. 2 kids, Emma, 9, and Ryan, 6. A 4-bedroom colonial in Westchester County that we'd renovated ourselves. Date nights every Friday. Family game nights on Sundays. Book club was on Thursdays. Today was Thursday. I looked at the time, 3:47 p.m. The kids wouldn't be home from school until 4:30. Melissa always picked them up, then took them to her mother's house on Thursdays so she could attend her book club from 5 to 8. My finger hovered over her contact. Then I stopped. Something cold and calculating settled over the initial shock. If I called now, she'd have time to create a story, delete evidence, coordinate with whoever sent this. Instead, I forwarded the photo to my personal email, 3 different accounts actually, then saved it to cloud storage. I took screenshots of the message itself, capturing the sender's number and timestamp. Then I drove home. Our house looked exactly as it had when I'd left that morning. Melissa's Lexus sat in the driveway. The flower boxes she'd planted in May were blooming with petunias. The lawn I'd mowed on Saturday showed perfect diagonal stripes. I sat in my truck for 5 minutes, watching our bedroom window. The curtains were drawn. They hadn't been this morning. My phone buzzed again. Same unknown number. She's been seeing him for 8 months, every Thursday. Sometimes Tuesdays when you work late. His name is Kyle Brennan. He's her Pilates instructor. Pilates. She'd started going to Pilates last September, right after Labor Day. Said she needed to do something for herself. That motherhood and marriage had made her lose her identity. I'd encouraged it. Paid for the membership at that upscale studio in White Plains. How do I know you're telling the truth? I texted back. 3 photos arrived in rapid succession. Melissa and this Kyle guy at a restaurant I recognized. Antonio's, the Italian place 2 towns over where we never went because Melissa said their pasta was mediocre. Melissa and Kyle in his car, her hand on his thigh. Melissa and Kyle entering a hotel, the Marriott off I-287. Each photo had a date stamp. September 14th, October 3rd, November 22nd, our anniversary. I'd been home that night with the kids while Melissa claimed she was having drinks with her college roommate who was passing through town. Who are you? I typed. Someone who believes people should know the truth. Check her phone records. Check the credit card statements. It's all there. Then, I'm sorry you're finding out this way. The number went dead after that. When I tried calling it, I got a message that the number was no longer in service. I sat there, my mind racing through possibilities. A concerned neighbor? Someone from her Pilates class? A private investigator hired by whom? It didn't matter. What mattered was verification. I pulled up our cell phone account. We were on a family plan under my name. I'd never had reason to check Melissa's usage before. Why would I? We shared everything. Or so I'd thought. The call logs loaded. I scrolled to Thursdays over the past few months, cross-referencing with the photos' timestamps. There. A number that appeared every single Thursday, multiple times. Calls ranging from 5 minutes to over an hour. The pattern went back exactly 8 months, just like the anonymous messenger said. Tuesday nights when I worked late. Same number. I checked our credit card statements next, the one Melissa used for household expenses. Charges at Antonio's on dates I'd been out of town for work. The Marriott. Nordstrom purchases I'd never seen her wear. A men's clothing store. She'd been buying him gifts with our money. The front door opened. Melissa stepped out, checking her watch, not noticing my truck parked at the curb instead of in the garage where I usually put it. She looked beautiful. Her dark hair was freshly styled, makeup carefully applied, more than she usually wore for school pickup. She had on the blue dress I'd complimented last week, the one that hugged her figure in all the right ways. She was dressed up for him. I watched her get in her Lexus and back out of the driveway, heading toward the elementary school. My wife, the mother of my children, the woman I'd built a life with, who I'd supported through her father's death, who I'd stayed up with during countless sleepless nights with newborns, who I'd chosen every single day for 13 years. The woman who'd been choosing someone else every Thursday for 8 months. My phone buzzed. A reminder I'd set weeks ago. Order flowers for Melissa, just because. I deleted it. Then I made a phone call to someone I'd never thought I'd need. Patrick Donovan, the divorce attorney who'd handled my business partner's separation last year. I'd heard him described as a bulldog in a suit. He answered on the second ring. "Patrick," I said, my voice surprisingly steady. "It's Jake Matthews. I need your help." The notification glowed on my phone screen like an accusation. "New login to your Netflix account from Prague, Czech Republic. If this wasn't you, click here to secure your account." I was sitting in Patrick Donovan's waiting room, early for my Friday morning appointment. The leather chair creaked as I leaned forward, staring at the alert that had buzzed through 30 seconds ago. Prague. Melissa was supposed to be in Berlin. A 3-day pharmaceutical conference. She'd left Wednesday morning, kissed the kids goodbye, reminded me about Emma's soccer practice and Ryan's dentist appointment. She'd even texted last night. "Hotel Wi-Fi is terrible. Miss you guys. Conference is boring but productive." My thumb hovered over the notification. We'd always shared the Netflix account. Same password for years, one of those married couple conveniences we'd never bothered to change. 4 profiles: Jake, Melissa, Emma, Ryan. A digital family portrait. I opened the app and checked the account activity. Device: Samsung Galaxy S23s. Location: Prague, Czech Republic. IP address: Audi Time: 9:47 a.m. local time. That would make it 3:47 a.m. in New York. Middle of the night here. But in Prague, mid-morning. The same time zone as Berlin, or close enough that the 1-hour difference didn't matter. Except Berlin wasn't in the Czech Republic. My hands went cold. That familiar sensation I'd learned to recognize over the past 24 hours. The physical response that preceded the mental understanding that something was very, very wrong. I pulled up my text thread with Melissa, scrolled back to Wednesday morning. Landed safely, heading to hotel now. Love you. Then Wednesday evening. Sessions ran long, exhausted, going to grab room service and crash. Thursday afternoon. Panel discussion went well. Hotel Wi-Fi keeps dropping. Might not be able to FaceTime tonight. Thursday night. Sorry, Wi-Fi is impossible. Tell the kids I love them. See you Saturday afternoon. Every message carefully crafted to explain away her silence. Her unavailability. The lack of video calls that might reveal backgrounds, street signs, anything that could be verified. I opened a new browser tab on my phone and typed Berlin Pharmaceutical Conferences, March 2024. 3 results came up. I cross-referenced dates. Nothing matched this week. My jaw clenched so hard my teeth ached. "Mr. Matthews?" The receptionist's voice cut through my focus. "Mr. Donovan is ready for you." I stood, pocketing my phone, and followed her down a hallway lined with framed degrees and bar certifications. Patrick Donovan's office overlooked the Scarsdale train station. All dark wood and burgundy leather, the kind of place that charged $400 an hour and earned every penny. Donovan stood as I entered. Mid-50s, silver hair, the build of someone who still played tennis twice a week. We shook hands. "Jake, good to see you, though I wish it were under better circumstances." He gestured to a chair across from his desk. "I reviewed the materials you sent over last night. Very thorough documentation." I'd emailed him everything at 2 in the morning, unable to sleep. The photos, the phone records, the credit card statements, the timeline I'd constructed of Melissa's affair with Kyle Brennan. 8 months of evidence, organized by date and category. "There's more," I said, settling into the chair. "As of this morning." I showed him the Netflix notification, explained about the supposed Berlin conference that didn't exist. Donovan's expression didn't change, but he made a note on his legal pad. "Prague? Interesting. She's with him, isn't she?" The words came out flat. "This isn't about a conference, it's a vacation, with my money." "Very likely," Donovan set down his pen. "The question is whether you want to confront her now or wait until she returns. What's the strategic advantage of waiting? You maintain the element of surprise. She doesn't know you know, not just about the affair, but about this trip. That gives us time to do more digging, potentially catch additional evidence of asset dissipation." He pulled up something on his computer. "If she's using marital funds for romantic getaways, that strengthens our position significantly. New York is an equitable distribution state, but judges take a dim view of spouses who waste marital assets on affairs." I thought about Melissa, somewhere in Prague right now. Maybe having breakfast at a cafe, Kyle across from her, laughing, planning their day, our money funding every moment. How do I prove she's there with him? Donovan leaned back in his chair. "Do you have access to her credit card statements in real time?" "We have a shared account. I can see charges as they post." "Start monitoring. Hotels, restaurants, anything charged in Prague. If his name appears on any reservations, even better." He paused. "Do you know his full name?" "Kyle Brennan. I found his Instagram yesterday. He's not subtle about his life. Posts everything. Check his social media. People who post constantly rarely stop just because they're trying to hide an affair. They might be more careful, but they usually can't resist entirely." I pulled out my phone and navigated to Kyle's Instagram. His last post was from Tuesday, a photo of him at the Pilates studio. Some inspirational quote about living your best life. Before that, Monday, a green smoothie. Sunday, a sunset from his apartment balcony. Nothing since Tuesday. For someone who posted daily, sometimes multiple times, that silence was deafening. "He's gone quiet," I said. "Usually posts every day. Nothing since before Melissa left." Donovan nodded. "He's being careful. But careful isn't the same as invisible." He turned his monitor toward me. "I'm going to give you the name of a private investigator I work with. Gail Thompson, former NYPD detective, now does corporate and domestic work. She's discreet and very good at digital forensics." I thought I had enough evidence already. "You do, for the affair. But if we're going to maximize your position in the divorce, we need a complete financial picture. Every gift, every hotel room, every trip. We need to show a pattern of dissipation of marital assets. And we need to know if there's more you haven't discovered yet." That last sentence landed like a punch. The idea that there could be more, that 8 months of documented betrayal might just be what I'd found so far. What else could there be? Joint accounts you don't know about, credit cards in her name only, cash withdrawals. Some people, when they're planning to leave, start hiding assets months in advance. Donovan's expression was sympathetic but professional. I'm not saying that's happening here, but we need to rule it out. I nodded slowly. The man I'd been 48 hours ago would have said this was paranoid, that Melissa would never do something like that. But 48 hours ago, I'd thought she would never sleep with her Pilates instructor in our guest bedroom either. Okay, I'll contact the investigator. Good. Donovan made another note. Now, regarding the children, you mentioned Emma is 9 and Ryan is 6? Yes? Primary custody is going to be a factor. New York courts prioritize the best interests of the children, and there's no automatic preference for mothers anymore. Your involvement in their daily care, your work schedule, your ability to provide stability, all of that matters. I pick them up from school 3 days a week. I coach Emma's soccer team. Ryan and I do his homework together every night. The words came automatically, a recitation of my life. My real life, the one I'd thought was solid. Melissa works full-time, same as me. We've always split things pretty evenly. That's good. Document it. Keep a calendar of who does what. Pickups, drop-offs, doctor's appointments, school events. If this goes to court, we'll need to show you're not just a paycheck but an active, involved father. The clinical nature of it made my stomach turn. Reducing years of parenting to bullet points on a custody evaluation. When do I tell the kids? Donovan's expression softened slightly. Not yet. Not until we have a plan in place and you're ready for the immediate aftermath. When you tell them, everything changes. Melissa will know you know. The separation becomes real. You need to be prepared for that. How do I prepare for that? Financially, first. Make sure you understand every account, every asset, every debt. Get copies of everything. Tax returns, bank statements, retirement accounts, mortgage documents, car titles. Gail can help with that. Then, emotionally, do you have support? Family? Friends? A therapist? I thought about my brother in California, my parents in Florida. Friends who were couple friends, people we'd had over for barbecues and game nights. How did you tell people your marriage was ending? That your wife had been lying for 8 months? I'll figure it out. You need to. This is going to get harder before it gets better. Donovan pulled a business card from his desk drawer. Gail Thompson. Tell her I referred you. She'll move quickly. I took the card. Plain white, simple black text. Gail Thompson. Investigations. Domestic. Corporate. Digital forensics. One more thing, Donovan said. Don't confront Melissa about Prague. Not yet. Let her come home. Let her tell you about her trip. Take notes on everything she says. Every detail about the conference, the hotel, what she did. The more she lies, the stronger our case becomes. The idea of sitting across from her, listening to fabricated stories about pharmaceutical panels and hotel Wi-Fi problems, made me want to put my fist through his expensive desk. But I nodded. Good. Donovan stood, extending his hand again. We'll talk early next week after you've met with Gail. In the meantime, document everything. And Jake? Don't do anything impulsive. I know this is painful, but strategy wins divorces. Emotion loses them. I shook his hand and left, walking back out into the March morning. The sky was that particular shade of gray that promised rain later, clouds heavy and low. My phone buzzed. A text from Melissa. Good morning. Heading into the final day of sessions. Can't wait to see you and the kids tomorrow. Miss you so much. I stared at the message, pictured her typing it from some Prague hotel room. Kyle maybe still asleep beside her. The casual cruelty of it, the ease with which she lied. I didn't respond. Instead, I pulled up my credit card app and checked our shared account. 3 new charges, all posted within the last hour. Cafe Imperial, Prague, 4782 Key, Prague. Castle Tour, $89. Carloof. Most gift shop. 34.15. She wasn't even trying to hide it anymore. Or maybe she just didn't think I'd check. I took screenshots of everything. Added them to the folder I'd created yesterday, the digital evidence locker that grew heavier with each new file. Then I called the number on Gail Thompson's card. She answered on the second ring. The phone buzzed again in my hand. Another notification. New login to your Hulu from Prague. I stared at the screen, sitting in my car outside Patrick's office building. The audacity was almost impressive. She wasn't even trying to hide her digital footprint anymore. Or more likely, she had no idea these notifications were coming to my phone. When I'd set up our streaming accounts years ago, I'd used my email as the primary contact for everything. A small administrative detail that was now handing me evidence on a silver platter. I took a screenshot, added it to the folder Gail had created in my secure cloud storage. The timestamp read 9:47 a.m. Eastern, 3:47 p.m. in Prague. Middle of the afternoon there. What were they doing? Lounging in a hotel room, scrolling through streaming options, deciding what to watch between romantic excursions funded by our joint account? My jaw clenched hard enough that my teeth ached. The meeting with Patrick had been productive in the coldest, most clinical way possible. He'd reviewed Gail's preliminary findings with the detachment of a surgeon examining X-rays. The credit card statements painted a clear picture. 2 tickets to Prague on Czech Airlines, departure from JFK on Tuesday morning. A reservation at the Augustine Hotel. I'd looked it up on my phone while Patrick talked. 5-star luxury property in a converted monastery. €400 per night. She's spending approximately $3,000 on this trip, Patrick had said, sliding the printout across his desk. Not including meals, entertainment, or whatever else they're doing. All from your joint account. Can we freeze it? I'd asked. Not yet. We need her to keep spending. Every transaction is evidence of asset dissipation. The more she spends on her affair partner, the more the court will consider it marital waste. In New York, that means she'll have to account for every dollar when we divide assets. The logic made sense. Let her dig her own grave deeper while I documented every shovelful of dirt. My phone rang. Gail's number. I've got something, she said without preamble. Your wife's Instagram account, the private one she thinks you don't know about. I hadn't known about it. Go on. She posted a photo 20 minutes ago. It's tagged in Prague, shows part of the Charles Bridge. She's not in the photo, but the caption says, "Finally here," with a heart emoji. I'm sending you the screenshot now. My phone chimed. I opened the image. The iconic Gothic bridge tower, tourists in the background, late afternoon light. And that caption, "Finally here." Like this was some long-awaited dream vacation. Like she hadn't lied to my face about Berlin and pharmaceutical conferences and professional development. There's more, Gail continued. I ran a deeper search on Kyle Brennan. He posted on his public Instagram yesterday a photo from the airport. Deleted it this morning, but nothing's ever really deleted. The timestamp matches the flight departure from JFK. So they flew out together. Coordinated it, at minimum. And here's the interesting part. He used a hashtag, Prague Adventures. I pulled his credit card data through a source I have. He's not paying for anything. No hotel charges, no restaurant bills. Everything's running through your joint account. The anger was a physical thing now, hot and solid in my chest. She was parading her affair partner around Europe on my dime, posting about it on social media, living out some fantasy while I was home with our children, maintaining the lie. How much total? I asked. So far, between the flights, hotel, and charges from the last 2 days, restaurants, a river cruise, shopping, we're at about $6,000. And she's not scheduled to return until Sunday. 4 more days. 4 more days of watching charges accumulate, of pretending I didn't know, of putting Emma and Ryan to bed and reading them stories while their mother was halfway across the world with another man. Keep documenting everything, I said. Every charge, every post, every login notification. I want a minute-by-minute timeline. You've got it. One more thing. I contacted a colleague in Prague, private investigator, very discreet. If you want photographic evidence of them together, he can make that happen. It'll cost extra, but do it, I said immediately. I want photos, video if possible, dated and time-stamped. Consider it done. He'll start surveillance tonight. After we hung up, I sat in the parking lot, watching people come and go from the office building. Normal people having normal days, dealing with normal problems, not sitting in their cars cataloging their wife's betrayal in real time through streaming service notifications. My phone buzzed. A text from Melissa. Conference is going well. Sessions are really informative. Miss you and the kids. Give them hugs for me. The sheer brazenness of it. I read the message 3 times, my thumb hovering over the keyboard. Every instinct screamed to call her out, to text back the screenshots, to burn it all down right now. Instead, I typed, "Glad it's going well. Kids are good. Emma has a math test tomorrow. Ryan lost another tooth." Normal? Domestic? Exactly what she expected. Her response came quickly. "Tell Emma good luck, and put Ryan's tooth under his pillow. I'll settle up with the tooth fairy when I get home." I took a screenshot of the entire exchange, added it to the folder labeled Lies Berlin Trip. The tooth fairy. She was worried about the tooth fairy while spending thousands of dollars on her affair partner in Prague. My next stop was the bank. I'd scheduled an appointment with the branch manager, a woman named Julie Foster, who'd helped us refinance our mortgage 2 years ago. She greeted me with a professional smile that faltered slightly when she saw my expression. "Jake, good to see you. Come on back." In her office, I got straight to the point. "I need to understand our account structure. Joint checking, joint savings, any credit cards or lines of credit in both names." She pulled up our information on her computer. "Is everything all right?" "I'm going through some personal matters. I need to know what accounts my wife has access to and what the balances are." Julie's expression shifted to careful neutrality, the look of someone who'd seen this situation before. "All right, let me pull up your complete profile." She walked me through it. Joint checking with about $12,000. Joint savings with $43,000. 2 credit cards, both in both our names, with a combined limit of $50,000 and a current balance of $8,000, most of it from the last 6 months. "Are there any accounts in just her name?" I asked. Julie typed, scrolled. "There's a savings account opened 8 months ago in Melissa's name only. It's linked to your joint checking for transfers." 8 months. The same time the affair started. "What's the balance?" $17,462. My stomach dropped. "Can you show me the transfer history?" She hesitated. "Jake, I really shouldn't." "It's community property," I said quietly. "New York is an equitable distribution state. I have a legal right to know about assets accumulated during our marriage." She considered this, then turned her monitor slightly so I could see. The transfers were methodical. 500 here, 1,000 there, sometimes 2,000. Always from our joint checking to her private account. Always on Thursdays, every Thursday. While I thought she was at her mother's with the kids, she was siphoning money into a secret account. "Can you print this for me?" I asked. "I can provide you with a statement of your joint accounts," Julie said carefully. "The individual account is technically hers, but given the circumstances, I can note that you requested information about transfers from joint assets. That works?" She printed several pages, slid them across the desk. "Jake, if you're concerned about asset protection, you might want to speak with an attorney about your options." "Already done," I said. "But thank you." Walking back to my car, the papers felt heavy in my hand. $17,000. Squirreled away over 8 months while I'd been oblivious. while I'd been the supportive husband encouraging her to have her own interests, her own identity. My phone buzzed. Another Netflix notification. Continue watching Bridgerton from Prague. I actually laughed. A short, bitter sound. They were watching Bridgerton, a romantic period drama, in their 5-star hotel room in Prague, on my Netflix account, using money she'd been secretly transferring for months. Screenshot. Save. Document. The folder was getting thick now. Credit card statements, bank transfers, login notifications, Instagram posts, text message lies. A paper trail that would bury her in court. Patrick had been right. Let her keep spending. Let her keep lying. Let her think she was getting away with it. Because when Sunday came, when she walked back through our door with her suitcase full of Prague souvenirs and her head full of romantic memories, I'd be ready. And she'd have no idea what was coming. The Netflix notification had come through at 2:14 a.m. Prague time, 8:14 p.m. my time. I'd been sitting in the home office pretending to work on a proposal while actually staring at bank statements when my phone lit up with the alert. New login to your Netflix account from Prague, Czech Republic. Below it, another notification. Now watching, Emily in Paris. I took a screenshot, added it to the folder, sent it to Gail and Patrick. Patrick's response came within minutes. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. She's not even trying to hide it anymore. Gail's message was more practical. My contact in Prague got eyes on them today. Hotel is the Augustine, 5-star property in Lessertown. They had lunch at Kampa Park, Riverside Place, expensive. Photos incoming within the hour. She's wearing a blue dress, new by the looks of it. Probably charged to your card. I pulled up our visa statement. Sure enough, Nordstrom, 3 days before her conference. 387. The photos arrived at 9:43 p.m. Gail's Prague contact was thorough. I'd give him that. Melissa and Kyle walking hand in hand along the Charles Bridge, tourist crowds around them. Melissa laughing at something he said, her head tilted back, that genuine smile she used to give me. Another shot of them at an outdoor cafe, sharing a dessert, his hand covering hers on the table. A third showing them entering the hotel together, his arm around her waist. The blue dress looked good on her. I'd never seen it before. I forwarded everything to Patrick, then opened a new document and started typing. Timeline of deception. Evidence log. Financial damages. Patrick wanted everything organized for when we filed. He'd been clear about that. The more documentation, the stronger our position. New York was an equitable distribution state, not community property, which meant the judge had discretion. Marital fault didn't technically matter for asset division, but Patrick had smiled when he said that. Judges are human. They see a wife stealing marital funds to finance a European vacation with her boyfriend. They remember that when they're deciding what's equitable. My phone buzzed. Melissa. Miss you so much. Conference sessions are so boring. Can't wait to be home with you and the kids. Love you. I stared at the message for a full minute. The sheer audacity of it. She was sitting in a 5-star Prague hotel, fresh from a romantic riverside dinner, probably in bed with Kyle right now, and she was texting me about boring conference sessions. I typed back, miss you too. Kids are asking when you'll be home. Sunday still good? Yes. Flight lands at 4 p.m. Can you pick me up? Of course, JFK. Yes, Terminal 1. You're the best husband. I set the phone down before I threw it across the room. Friday morning, I took the kids to school like normal. Emma was chattering about her science project, something involving vinegar and baking soda. Ryan wanted to know if Mom would bring them presents from Germany. I'm sure she will, I said, and hated how easily the lie came out. Gail called while I was driving back home. Got something interesting. Ran a deeper check on Kyle Brennan like you asked. And? He's got debt, lots of it, Student loans from some fitness certification programs, 2 maxed credit cards, car payment he's behind on. His studio doesn't pay instructors much. He's basically living paycheck to paycheck. I processed that. So Melissa's been funding this? Looks that way. Those charges at Antonio's? The Marriott? I'd bet money she was paying. And if she's been pulling cash out of your joint account, which she has, I saw the ATM withdrawals. Some of that probably went to him too. How much in ATM withdrawals? Since September? About $4,000. $4,000 in cash, gone. On top of the $17,000 transferred to her secret account, the hotel charges, the restaurant bills, the gifts. I did the math quickly. We were looking at close to $30,000 of marital funds spent on this affair. Gail, I need you to find out if she gave him any large gifts. Jewelry, electronics, anything traceable. I'm on it. Also, my Prague contact said they're booked at the Augustine through Sunday morning. Checkout is 11 a.m. local time, which means they'll leave for the airport around 1 or 2. Her flight's at 5:30 Prague time, gets into JFK at 8:30 p.m. our time with the layover in London. She told me 4 p.m. She's lying about her flight time. Probably wants a buffer in case something goes wrong. Or maybe she's planning to see him one more time before the flight. There's a 6-hour gap there. Of course there was. Keep the Prague surveillance going until she's at the airport, I said. I want documentation of every moment. You got it. Photos and timestamps. This is going to cost you, though. International rates aren't cheap. I don't care. Document everything. Friday afternoon, Patrick called with an update. I've got the paperwork ready to file. Divorce petition, temporary restraining order on the joint accounts, motion for exclusive occupancy of the marital residence. We can file Monday morning if you want. What happens when we file? She gets served, probably at work or at home depending on timing. The restraining order freezes the joint accounts immediately. She won't be able to move any more money. The occupancy motion means you're asking the court to grant you exclusive use of the house, which means she'd have to leave. Given the circumstances and the fact that you're the primary caregiver while she's off in Prague, we've got a solid argument. She'll know I know. That's the point. Right now you've got the element of surprise, but that ends the moment you file. Question is, do you want to let her come home Sunday and confront her yourself? Or do you want to file Monday and have her served before she even knows what hit her? I thought about it. Melissa walking through the door Sunday evening, jet-lagged and probably still high on her European adventure, expecting to slip back into her double life. Me sitting there with printed photos spread across the kitchen table. The look on her face when she realized I knew everything. Or Melissa at work Tuesday, being handed papers by a process server. The humiliation. The panic. Coming home to find the locks changed, her belongings in boxes on the lawn. I need to think about it, I said. Fair enough. But Jake, don't wait too long. Every day she has access to those accounts is another day she can move money. That secret savings account? She could empty it this weekend and we'd have no way to stop her until we get a court order. Can you freeze that account too? Not until we file. Right now, legally, we don't have standing. It's in her name, funded with marital assets, but until there's a case, my hands are tied. After we hung up, I logged into our joint checking account. She'd made another transfer Wednesday night, $2,000, moved to that same savings account at a different bank. The balance in our joint account was down to $8,347. We'd had close to $30,000 in there 3 months ago. I took screenshots, added them to the folder. The folder was getting thick now, hundreds of images, documents, records, a complete map of her betrayal, time-stamped and dated and utterly damning. My phone buzzed. Another text from Melissa. Just finished the last session. So glad this conference is almost over. Learned a lot, though. Can't wait to tell you all about it. I looked at the timestamp on Gail's most recent photo. 3:47 p.m. Prague. Time, 9:47 a.m. my time. Melissa and Kyle having breakfast at a cafe near the hotel, both of them in casual clothes, looking like any other couple on vacation. I typed back, "That's great, honey. Proud of you for going. I know it wasn't easy being away from us. You're so supportive. I'm lucky to have you." I set the phone down and went to pour myself a drink. It was barely 10 in the morning, but I didn't care. The Friday morning email from Gail arrived at 6:47 a.m., while I was sitting at the kitchen table with cold coffee and a laptop full of bank statements. Subject: Prague update, time sensitive. I opened it. 3 attachments loaded. The first showed Melissa and Kyle at an outdoor cafe, her hand on his thigh, both laughing at something on his phone. The timestamp read 2:34 p.m. local time, Thursday afternoon, while she'd texted me about a fascinating keynote on immunotherapy protocols. The second photo stopped my breath. They were kissing on the Charles Bridge, tourist crowds blurred around them. Melissa's arms wrapped around his neck, his hands on her waist. The same way we'd kissed on our honeymoon in Napa. The same tilt of her head. The third image was a receipt. Dinner at Bellevue Restaurant, one of those places with Michelin stars and views of Prague Castle. 2 tasting menus, wine pairings, champagne. Total, 14,850 Czech koruna. I did the conversion, $643, for one dinner. Gail's message was brief. Subject appears unaware of surveillance. Investigator reports they're booked at Augustine through Sunday morning, departing on 2:15 p.m. Lufthansa flight to JFK via Munich. Hotel staff confirms they've been there since Tuesday evening. Additional documentation available upon request. Recommend you advise on next steps. I forwarded everything to Patrick with a single line. They're not even trying to hide it. His response came back within 10 minutes. Can you come to my office at 9 a.m.? We need to finalize the approach. Patrick's office was in a converted Victorian in downtown White Plains, the kind of place that looked like a law firm from a movie. Dark wood, leather chairs, framed degrees on walls painted deep green. His paralegal, a woman named Judy who looked like she'd seen every variation of human awfulness, brought me coffee in a real mug. "So," Patrick said, spreading printouts across his desk. "Your wife returns Sunday evening. Flight lands at 7:35 p.m. Assuming she takes a car service or Uber, she'll be home by 9, maybe 9:30 depending on traffic." I nodded. Option 1. You confront her when she walks in. Show her everything. The photos, the bank records, the hotel receipts. You tell her you want a divorce and she needs to leave. And option 2? You say nothing, act normal. Monday morning we file. Papers get served to her at work around 11 a.m. by a process server. By the time she's reading them, I've already filed emergency motions. Freeze all joint accounts, temporary exclusive use of the marital home, temporary custody arrangement. She comes home Monday evening to find locks changed and a notice that she can collect essential items under police supervision. I stared at the photos on his desk. Melissa in Prague, radiant and careless. What's the advantage of option 2? Patrick leaned back. Control. Surprise. If you confront her Sunday night, she has time to move money, delete evidence, coordinate with Kyle, get her own attorney, craft a narrative. If we file Monday and she's served at work, she's reactive, scrambling, making mistakes. She'll be humiliated. At her job. Yes. Something in my chest twisted. 11 years. I'd loved this woman, built a life with her. The other consideration, Patrick continued, is the children. If you confront her Sunday night, there's likely going to be a scene. Yelling, crying, maybe Emma or Ryan hear something. If we handle it Monday while they're at school, you can pick them up, bring them home, explain things calmly. That decided it. Option 2, I said. File Monday. Patrick nodded like he'd expected this. Then Sunday night, you need to act completely normal. She'll probably be jet-lagged. full of stories about Berlin. You smile, you ask questions, you act like the devoted husband she thinks you are. For one night. For one night. Can you do that? I thought about the Prague photos, her hand on his thigh, the kiss on the bridge. $643 for dinner while I ate leftover chicken and rice at home with our kids. Yeah, I said. I can do that. The weekend was strange. Empty house, kids at my sister Lauren's place in Connecticut. I told her I needed a few days to handle some things, and she'd asked no questions, just said to bring them up Friday after school. Emma had been excited about seeing her cousins. Ryan had asked if Mommy would be back when they got home. Yeah, buddy, I'd told him. Mommy will be back Sunday. Now it was Saturday afternoon, and I was sitting in our living room with my phone, watching Melissa's location share on Find My Friends. Still in Prague. Still at the Augustine Hotel. She'd texted that morning. Good morning. Missing you and the kids so much. Conference sessions are intense but really valuable. Can't wait to tell you all about it. Love you. I'd responded. Miss you too. Kids are having fun at Lauren's. Safe travels tomorrow. My phone buzzed. Patrick. Just confirming? You're solid on the plan? I'm solid. Okay, papers are ready. I'll file electronically at 8 a.m. Monday. Process server will be at her office by 10:45. Make sure you're not at the house when she gets served. Last thing we need is her calling you and you having to pretend you don't know what's happening. Where should I be? Anywhere but home. Your attorney's office, maybe. We can monitor things from here. After we hung up, I walked through the house. Every room held memories that felt contaminated now. The kitchen where we'd cooked together. The living room where we'd watched movies. The guest bedroom where she'd brought him. I stopped at Emma's door. Her room was neat. Stuffed animals arranged on her bed, drawings taped to the walls. One showed our family, stick figures holding hands, a house with a triangle roof, a sun with rays. She'd drawn it last month. My phone buzzed again. A text from Melissa. At the airport. Long day of travel ahead, but excited to be coming home. Should land around 7:30 your time. Can't wait to see you. I checked the timestamp. 11:23 a.m. my time. 5:23 p.m. in Prague. I pulled up the Prague investigators' final report, delivered an hour earlier. They'd left the Augustine at 2:47 p.m. local time. Shared car to the airport. Checked in together at the Lufthansa counter. Kissed goodbye at security. Kyle's flight to LAX was earlier, connecting through Frankfurt. The investigator had included one last photo. Melissa and Kyle at the departure gate, her head on his shoulder, his arm around her waist. The caption read, Final documentation as requested. Subject and companion separated at security, 16:42 local time. Will send invoice for services rendered. I forwarded it to Patrick with no message. Then I texted Melissa back. Safe flight. See you tonight. Sunday evening, I picked up Emma and Ryan from Lauren's at 4 p.m. They were tired, happy, full of stories about playing with their cousins. Is Mommy home? Emma asked as we pulled into the driveway. Not yet, sweetie. Her flight lands in a few hours. I made them dinner, mac and cheese, apple slices, the kind of simple meal that felt manageable. Ryan spilled juice on his shirt. Emma told me about a book she'd read. Everything was normal and terrible. At 7:52 p.m., my phone lit up. Landed, waiting for luggage. Should be home by 9. Miss you guys so much. We miss you too, I typed. Drive safe. I got the kids ready for bed. Teeth brushed, pajamas on, Emma's stuffed elephant located after a brief search. Ryan wanted a story. I read him 3 pages of a book about a bear before my voice went flat and I had to stop. You okay, Daddy? He asked. Just tired, buddy. Let's get you to sleep. By 8:45, both kids were down. I sat in the living room, lights off, watching headlights pass on the street. At 9:17 p.m., I heard a car in the driveway. A door slammed. Wheels on pavement, her rolling suitcase, keys in the lock. The front door opened and Melissa walked in, looking exhausted and beautiful, her carry-on bag over one shoulder. "Hey," she said, smiling. "I'm home." I stood up, walked over, hugged her like I'd hugged her 1,000 times before. She smelled like airplane and perfume and lies. "How was Berlin?" I asked. I watched her unpack in our bedroom, moving through the familiar choreography of returning home. Suitcase on the bed, toiletries to the bathroom, dirty clothes to the hamper. She'd done this dozens of times over the years. Business trips, conferences, visits to her sister in Boston. The routine was so practiced it looked genuine. "The conference was good," she said, hanging up a blazer I'd never seen before. Navy blue, expensive looking. Dr. Hartman's keynote on immunotherapy protocols was fascinating. I took so many notes. Dr. Hartman. She'd prepared details, invented an entire fictional conference with speakers and sessions, probably researched it while sitting in that Prague hotel room with Kyle. "That's great," I said. My voice sounded normal to my own ears. "You get any downtime to see the city?" "A little. Walked around near the hotel one evening. Berlin's beautiful this time of year, but I was mostly in conference rooms." She smiled at me. That same smile I'd loved for 13 years. "Missed you guys, though. How are the kids?" "Good. Emma's got a math test Tuesday she's nervous about. Ryan lost another tooth." "Oh no, which one?" "Bottom front, left side." She laughed. "He's going to look like a jack-o'-lantern for school pictures." This was the part that made my skin crawl. Not the lies about Prague. I'd expected those. But this easy domesticity, the way she slipped back into mother-wife mode, like shrugging on a comfortable coat. Asking about our son's teeth while her phone probably held text messages from the man she'd spent the weekend with. "I'm going to take a shower," she said, gathering clothes. "That flight always makes me feel gross." The flight from Prague, she meant. Through whatever connection she'd used to maintain the Berlin cover story. I went downstairs and made myself check email on my laptop, maintaining the Sunday evening routine. Gail had sent an update an hour ago, time-stamped while Melissa was still in the air. Final surveillance log attached. They departed Augustine Hotel at 11:40 a.m. local time. Subject took separate taxi to airport. Full photo documentation and receipts uploaded to secure folder. Invoice to follow. Good luck tomorrow. GT. I didn't open the photos. I'd seen enough yesterday, the two of them at some outdoor cafe, his hand on her lower back, her laughing at something he'd said. The images were burned into my memory already. What I needed now wasn't more evidence. It was control. My phone buzzed. Patrick Donovan. "Papers are ready. I'll be at the courthouse when it opens at 9. She'll be served at her office by 10:30. I've arranged for a process server who specializes in workplace deliveries. Discreet but official. You still want to proceed?" "Yes." "And you're certain about not giving her advance warning?" "Some clients prefer..." "I'm certain." "Understood." The temporary orders include exclusive possession of the marital residence, so she'll need to collect essentials and leave. I recommend having someone present when she returns to pack. Your sister, perhaps. Or a friend. Don't be alone with her. Why? False accusations. Happens more often than you'd think when someone's caught off guard and desperate. You want witnesses for everything from this point forward. I heard the shower running upstairs. Melissa singing something softly. She always sang in the shower. "I'll have my sister here," I said. "Good. Expect her attorney to contact you within 48 hours. Don't engage directly. Route everything through me. Don't discuss the case, don't argue about details, don't defend yourself. Radio silence except through counsel." "Understood." "One more thing, Jake. Tomorrow's going to be hard." She's going to be shocked, angry, possibly vindictive. She might say things designed to hurt you or make you doubt yourself. Don't engage. Don't explain. Don't justify. Just refer her to me and remove yourself from the situation. After we hung up, I sat in the quiet kitchen and thought about tomorrow. Melissa would go to work at the pharmaceutical company where she'd been employed for 9 years, settle into her cubicle with her coffee, probably text Kyle about missing him already. Then a stranger would approach her desk with papers that would detonate her carefully constructed double life. I wondered if she'd cry, if she'd call me immediately, or call Kyle first, if she'd try to bluff her way through it or collapse into confession. Then I stopped wondering because it didn't matter. By 10:30 tomorrow morning, the marriage would be legally over in everything but final decree. The rest was just paperwork and property division. The shower stopped. I heard her moving around upstairs, the familiar sounds of her nighttime routine. Hairdryer, closet door, bathroom cabinet. She came down 20 minutes later in pajamas, hair damp, smelling like her usual shampoo. Everything normal. Everything a lie. "You want to watch something?" she asked, settling onto the couch beside me. "Sure." She pulled up Netflix, the same Netflix that had sent me the Prague login notification, and scrolled through options. "Oh, they added that documentary about the art heist. Want to watch that?" "Whatever you want." We sat there for 90 minutes, her head on my shoulder, my arm around her because that's where it always went, watching a documentary about thieves and deception. The irony wasn't lost on me. When it ended, she yawned. "I'm exhausted. That time change really messes with me." Prague was 7 hours ahead of New York. Berlin was 6. If I'd been paying attention to those details before, I might have caught the discrepancy in her sleep patterns on previous trips. But I hadn't been looking for lies then. "You heading up?" she asked. "In a bit. Want to finish some emails." She kissed me goodnight, just a quick press of lips, routine and meaningless. "Don't stay up too late." I listened to her climb the stairs, heard our bedroom door close. Waited 15 minutes, then checked the secure folder Gail had uploaded. The final surveillance photos were thorough. Melissa and Kyle at breakfast in the hotel. Walking through Old Town Square. Standing on Charles Bridge with the castle behind them, his arm around her waist. Shopping on some narrow cobblestone street, her holding up a scarf while he nodded approval. And the receipts. Gail had somehow obtained copies, probably through contacts at the hotels and restaurants. Dinner at Campa Park, $340. Lunch at Terrassa. Use latte studnie, 280. 2 nights at Augustine Hotel, 140. Shopping at Pařížská Street Boutiques, 150. All of it, presumably, on the credit card tied to her secret account. The account funded by transfers from our joint savings. Our money spent on her affair. I forwarded everything to Patrick with a brief note. Final documentation from Prague trip. His response came 2 minutes later. Received. This strengthens our position considerably. Get some rest. Tomorrow starts early. Rest? As if I'd slept properly in the 4 days since that first anonymous text. I'd been running on adrenaline and rage, sustained by the cold satisfaction of building an airtight case. But now, on the eve of detonation, I felt the exhaustion creeping in. I went upstairs quietly, avoiding the third step that creaked. Our bedroom door was closed. I could have opened it, climbed into bed beside her one last time, maintained the performance until morning. But I couldn't stomach it. Instead, I went to the guest bedroom, the room where she'd brought Kyle on those Thursday afternoons, where they'd been photographed on that cream-colored duvet. I'd stripped the bed days ago, thrown everything in the trash. Now it held just a bare mattress and the furniture we'd picked out together 7 years ago when we'd remodeled. I lay down on the bare mattress in the dark and stared at the ceiling. In 9 hours, papers would be filed. In 10 hours, she'd be served. In 11 hours, she'd know that I knew everything. Prague, Kyle, the money, the 8 months of Thursdays and late Tuesday nights. And she'd realize, probably in that exact moment, that the anonymous tip hadn't just exposed her affair. It had given me a 4-day head start to prepare, document, and build a case she couldn't defend against. My phone buzzed one last time. Unknown number. My chest tightened. Was it the original tipster, back after days of silence? But it was just a spam text about car insurance. I deleted it and set an alarm for 6 a.m. Tomorrow, I'd wake the kids, make breakfast, drive them to school, kiss them goodbye like always. Then I'd go to my sister's house and wait for the call from Patrick confirming Melissa had been served. Normal morning routine, followed by the end of everything. I closed my eyes and tried not to think about her sleeping one room away, believing she'd gotten away with it. The alarm went off at 6 a.m. I'd been awake since 4:30, staring at the guest bedroom ceiling, listening to the house settle around me. At 6:15, I heard Melissa's alarm through the wall, the shower running, her morning routine unchanged. I got up and made breakfast. Pancakes, because Ryan loved them, and because keeping my hands busy prevented me from checking my phone every 30 seconds. Emma wandered down at 6:40, still half asleep, her hair tangled. "Morning, sweetie." "Morning, Daddy. Where's Mom?" "Getting ready for work." Melissa appeared at 7, dressed in slacks and a blouse, makeup carefully applied. She looked tired but put together. Professional. Like someone who'd just returned from a legitimate business conference. "Morning, everyone," she said brightly, pouring coffee into her travel mug. She kissed Emma's head, then Ryan's. "How'd you sleep?" "Good," Emma mumbled through a mouthful of pancake. "Daddy made pancakes," Ryan announced. "I see that. Looks delicious." She glanced at me. "You're up early." "Couldn't sleep," she smiled sympathetically. "I know. I kept you awake with my tossing and turning, didn't I? Still adjusting to the time change." The lie came so easily, so naturally, like breathing. "It's fine," I said. She checked her watch. "I need to get going. Big meeting this morning." She grabbed her purse, keys. "Love you guys. See you tonight." And she was gone. The garage door rumbled. Her car backed out. Normal Monday morning, like 10,000 Monday mornings before it. Except Patrick was filing papers in 90 minutes. I got the kids to school by 8:15, hugged them both longer than usual at drop-off. "You okay, Dad?" Emma asked. "Yeah, sweetie. Just gonna miss you today." By 8:40, I was at my sister Lauren's house in Scarsdale. She'd taken the day off work without asking why, just told me to come over. "You look terrible," she said when she opened the door. "Thanks." "Coffee?" "Please." We sat in her kitchen. I told her everything. The anonymous text, the photos, Prague, the money, the filing this morning. She listened without interrupting, her expression moving from shock to fury to something that looked like grief. "Jesus, Jake, I'm so sorry." "Don't be sorry, just be here. I need someone to be here." At 9:03, Patrick texted, "Filed. Process server en route to her office." At 9:47, "Server is in position, waiting for appropriate moment." At 10:36, "She's been served. Confirmed delivery. Paper signed for." I stared at the message. It was done. After 4 days of documentation and preparation, after the longest weekend of my life, it was done. My phone rang at 10:41. Melissa's number. I let it go to voicemail. It rang again immediately. Again, voicemail. Then texts started coming through. "Jake, what the hell is this? Why am I being served divorce papers at work? Call me right now. This is insane, we need to talk. Jake." I turned my phone face down on Lauren's kitchen table. "She's calling," Lauren said. It wasn't a question. "Yeah." "You going to answer?" "Patrick said not to. Everything goes through attorneys now." My phone buzzed continuously for the next 20 minutes. Calls, texts, voicemails piling up. I didn't read them, didn't listen, just watched the screen light up over and over until finally it stopped. At 11:15, Patrick called. Her attorney just contacted me. Susan Reeves, out of White Plains. She's good, but she's working with a bad set of facts. They want to meet, discuss terms. Already? Your wife apparently spent the last 30 minutes on the phone with her, then came back with a very detailed explanation about a misunderstanding and how you've got this all wrong. Susan's smart enough to know that's not going to fly once she sees our evidence, but she has to advocate for her client. Can you come to my office at 2? Both of us? No, just attorneys today. We'll present our documentation, they'll realize how deep the hole is, and we'll start talking settlement. This doesn't have to go to trial, Jake. Most divorces don't. What if I wanted to? Patrick paused. Do you? I thought about Melissa in a courtroom, the photos projected on screens, her affair and financial deception laid out for a judge and court reporter and public record, the humiliation, the finality. No, I said. I just want it over. Then we settle. Probably take a few weeks to negotiate terms, but with this much evidence, she doesn't have leverage. We'll get you primary custody, the house, and she'll have to account for every dollar of marital funds spent on the affair. It won't be pleasant for her. Good. The next 3 weeks were a blur of attorney meetings, financial disclosures, and carefully orchestrated kid handoffs. Melissa moved in with her sister in Yonkers. I stayed in the house with Emma and Ryan, maintaining routines, explaining in age-appropriate terms that mom and dad were having grown-up problems and needed to live separately for a while. Emma cried. Ryan asked if it was his fault. I held them both and promised it wasn't, that they were loved, that some things just happened and couldn't be fixed. The settlement came together faster than Patrick had predicted. Melissa's attorney had reviewed the evidence, all of it, including the Prague surveillance photos and the financial records showing $32,000 of marital funds spent on the affair, and advised her client that fighting would be expensive and futile. I got primary custody, the house, my retirement accounts. She got her retirement accounts, her car, and the responsibility of repaying half of what she'd spent, $16,000 to be paid from her separate property over 2 years. The divorce was finalized on a Tuesday in October, 7 months after that first anonymous text. We didn't attend the hearing. Our attorneys appeared before a judge, presented the settlement agreement, and it was done. Signed, filed, over. That night, I sat on the back deck with a beer and watched the sun set over the yard I'd mowed 1,000 times. Emma and Ryan were inside doing homework. The house was quiet, peaceful. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. I hope you found what you were looking for. I stared at it. The anonymous tipster, back after 7 months of silence. Who are you? I typed. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Someone who knew what it felt like to be lied to. Someone who thought you deserved better. Why did you help me? Because nobody helped me when I was in your position. I found out too late, after the money was gone and the evidence was destroyed. You had a chance. I made sure you took it. I read it twice. Some stranger carrying their own scars had seen my wife's affair and decided to blow up my life to save it. Thank you, I typed. Don't thank me. Thank yourself for being smart enough to document everything and strong enough to follow through. A lot of people get the truth and still choose the lie. The dots appeared one more time. Be good to those kids. That's what matters now. Then the number went dead, just like it had 7 months ago. A year later, I stood in the same Home Depot where it had all started, holding a gallon of deck stain. The same aisle. Different season. Spring instead of late summer. Different man. Emma was 12 now, playing travel soccer and getting straight A's. Ryan was 8, gap-toothed, and obsessed with dinosaurs. They split time between my house and Melissa's apartment, And while it wasn't the life I'd planned, it was stable, honest, real. Melissa and I were civil. We coordinated schedules, attended school events from opposite sides of the gymnasium, split holidays according to the parenting plan. She'd quit the Pilates studio, moved to a different pharmaceutical company. I didn't ask about her personal life, and she didn't volunteer. Kyle Brennan had moved to California, according to Emma, who'd overheard Melissa on the phone. I didn't care enough to verify it. At the checkout line, my phone buzzed. A woman I'd been seeing casually for a few months asking if I wanted to grab dinner Friday. Her name was Rachel. She was a teacher, divorced, no kids, kind, honest, uncomplicated. I texted back, "Sounds good. 7 work?" The cashier rang up my deck stain. I paid, carried it to my truck, drove home to the house that was mine now. Not ours. Mine. That night, after the kids were in bed, I sat on the back deck again and thought about that anonymous text from a year and a half ago. The stranger who decided to tell me the truth when everyone else in my life, including my wife, had chosen to let me live in the lie. I never found out who they were. Probably never would. But they'd been right about one thing. A lot of people get the truth and still choose the lie. They convince themselves it was a mistake, a phase, something that can be forgiven and forgotten. They stay in marriages held together by denial and sunk costs. I'd chosen differently. Not because I was strong or righteous, but because once I saw the truth, I couldn't unsee it. And once I knew the full scope of the betrayal, the affair, the money, the lies upon lies, staying would have meant accepting that I deserved to be treated that way. I didn't. Nobody does. The deck stains sat in my garage, waiting for the weekend when I'd finally refinish the boards that had weathered through 2 winters since I'd first tried to buy that paint. The wood had aged, grayed, splintered in places. But it could be restored. Sanded down, sealed, made solid again. Some things could be fixed, and some things, once broken, were better left behind. I went inside, locked the door, and went to bed in a house that was quiet and honest and mine. That was enough.